Hey, what's up, guys? Just a shameless plug, but end up gotten. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, end up gotten aerating, fertilizing, and also doing some liquid aeration. And the reason why is because I ended up getting these mailers and sending them out to certain neighborhoods. So yeah, ended up getting quite a few customers from this, but just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys go to lawncaremedia.com, you can actually look over all the templates that they have and, either buy one or buy the whole pack. And if you use code NINJA, you're going to save 50% off your entire order. So if you get all of them, you can save, I think, like $250. But, we also have this instant quote for lawn mowing. These I'm going to be using this year, so excited to be trying these out and hopefully increase my route density and capacity. What we also have is welcome to the neighborhood. Like, if it's someone buys a house and moves in, you can leave this on the door and try and pick up their business for mowing. And you can look at the back there. But yeah, these designs are editable. So, you can put your number, put services that you offer. So yeah, like I said, check out lawncaremedia.com. And don't forget to enter code NINJA and save 50% off your entire order. Just wanted to do this little quick thing to help you guys out in this spring and over the summer before we head into the video that we're going to be doing today with Thomas Salazar with the very first Augusta Lawn Care franchise out in Littleton, Colorado. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and or podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one, guys. So what do you have on your screen?
Oh, I was just getting a little work caught up here. Well, caught up, I say. So right now I was just kind of checking out kind of how many aerations we have on the books right now, because they're definitely starting to come in, and it looks like right now we have just 30, which is not horrible, because it wears our people out. They get exhausted. I do not want to do any more aerations, at least unless we have the stand-on one.
I bought a stand-on last fall.
Did you?
Yeah.
What are those going for?
So I bought one used, $6,300.
What do they go for new?
New, gosh, I think it's probably $12,000 for like a 30-inch or something. Yeah.
What brand is?
The one I got was a Exmark, but Exmark sold that division to Z Aerate or Z Equipment or something.
Okay.
So Z Aerate makes the Exmark ones now.
Okay.
But yeah, last year, my Horizon distributors, them?
Yeah. Yep.
I went there because they had it for rent, so I rented it in the spring.
Okay.
And I wanted to buy it.
Wait a minute, you can rent a stand-on aerator?
They had a demo unit. So they rented it out.
Okay.
And that's what I did, and it was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
But I asked him how much it was then, and I think he quoted me around $9,600. So I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah. You can't go up and down stairs with those, right?
No.
Yeah, so you're kind of limited to what you can do, right? So
do you have
but then again, we don't do stairs either way with aerating at all.
And if you have gates bigger than 32 inches, you're not walking behind one and having to lift it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reached out because I rented it in the fall too.
Okay.
And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see if because it had more hours on it. It's an older piece of equipment. Maybe the price might come down. So I reached out to him. He told me, yeah, we'll sell it to you for $63,000.
I wonder if they still have any of those for rent, because I'll aerate again.
Call them first thing tomorrow. See if they have any ones to rent.
Do you remember just a general, how much they were going for rent?
It was the cool thing was I think it was going for $190 a day.
Okay. Yeah, because the regular ones are what, like, I forgot, like 140, 50, 60,
Mhm.
something like that. So that's,
Which they used to be like $60 a day.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome.
But yeah, they were switching over to like all new people at some point last year, and they didn't have their system fully set up.
Okay.
So like every time I rented it, they gave it to me for free because I was standing around for like 30 minutes, and they're like, just we won't charge you for it.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So there was one time I brought them Santiago burritos
Yeah.
and some Dunkin' Donuts coffee
Yeah.
as a thank you for saving me. Gosh, I think I probably would have spent maybe $800, $1,000 renting it.
Renting it out. Yeah.
And
Stand-on aerators, man. That's like a dream right there. Like, I hate aerating now, and I think there's other people they swear by that. They love it, and I'm like, really? You love it?
if I'm not using it, and you guys might want to try it out, maybe try it out for a day or something. I could.
This is the thing. Because once the guys get a hold of that, it's like drinking clean water for the first time. It's going to be hard to go back to the other way.
Yeah,
that's
true.
going to be tough. It's like everyone's like, yeah, let's aerate after that, but then when they get a hold of the other one, they're gonna hate me. That's my concern, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to do a walk behind. Like, I'll do it if I can't fit one, or it's like I have to go down like one set of stairs.
We're not doing any stairs, and that thing just beats me up.
Have you thought about liquid aeration?
Yeah, I've thought about it.
Because I told Garrett about it, and I think he did. He
He's
did 6 or so liquid aerations a week or two ago.
He was talking about doing them. I didn't know he already did it. Has he had good results with it? I mean, I guess you can't
He's
really
made
tell.
money with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not core aeration.
Right.
Core aeration is core aeration. But like the principles behind it is, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It just helps break up thatch and compact soil.
Right.
Helps water.
I did look into that for a little while a few years back. I just never really moved forward with it. But they got a lot of great products out there, apparently. And yeah, that's probably going to end up becoming
Especially in
a new
Colorado.
thing. Yeah. 'Cause electric aerators aren't going to be anytime soon, I'm sure. So yeah, it'll go to liquid. Oh yeah, but then they'll have the water situation. So
Well, I'm gonna because you can do liquid aeration every month of the year.
yeah, okay.
And it's really beneficial when we have like heat and drought stress in the lawns.
Yeah,
And so if someone's like watering, it's gonna help their watering go further than just not doing it.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely read a little bit about it, and it seems like it's definitely super benefit. It seems like it's better than your core aeration. From what I read, it seems like, man, that sounds awesome. But I've never actually used it.
There's an article on the CSU Extension website talking about, and they aren't firm believers in it.
Oh, they're not. What's the hold up? What's the drawbacks? What's the concern?
Just it's not core aeration. Like, you're not puncturing the actual ground and bringing up the microbes that live in the soil up to the top to help break things down and let air in and all this stuff. But I mean, they make the products, they use the products. I'm not, it could all be snake oil, but
Right.
it's sound, like the humic acid and then all the other stuff that they put in it. It's like it's supposed to be beneficial.
Well, I guess it's still relatively a new product, right?
I mean, I think it's probably, I remember maybe 8-9 years ago I first saw like liquid aeration. I think back then it was more kind of like a soapy type mixture or something like that. Because the soap acts as like a surfactant and breaks the surface tension of the water so it can penetrate more. But I think since then it's improved. Add all these other things into it. It's 100% organic, kid and pet friendly, safe.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how far this goes with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think I have probably 5 or 6 lined up myself.
Oh, so you're doing both liquid and core?
Mm-hmm.
Did you initiate the liquid to your customers, like brought it up to them, or did they say, "Hey, let's try that"? And you're like, "All right, I guess."
I'm the
we'll do
one
that."
who brought it up. It was sometime last year. I heard someone talking about it, and I just wanted to know more about it. So I just started reading stuff on it,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's perfect for the people that live in Denver
Mm-hmm.
that are concerned about CO2 emissions, heavy equipment on their lawn, water restrictions. So I did a few last fall,
Yeah.
and it worked. It worked pretty well. It was nice. I charge minimum 90, and I don't know if it's like a right too high, too low, or whatever. I just kind of did what threw stuff at a wall and saw what sticks.
And did you? You said you only had a handful of people that did the liquid aeration. Did you end up? Excuse me. Did you end up just doing that on purpose, just with a few to test it out, instead of just trying to convert everybody, or did you give everyone a choice and only this small handful decided?
So when I first started using it, I noticed some of my customers' lawns didn't look like they were in the best shape, and it can help with necrotic ring spot, like brown patches, dead patches. It can help with that.
Okay.
So the Wayne, did you meet Wayne?
I want to say yes.
I think you might have been here when he didn't stay long, but he's the one I used to work with. And so I was talking to him about it, and he does chemical spraying, and he was like, yeah, the stuff that it has on it, like, makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would definitely help with, this pest or this disease or whatever.
Sure.
So I started spraying it on like you said, a handful.
Kind of like your test subjects.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put it that way, but the science is behind it.
Right. Yeah.
So, I was just like, hey, I'm going to try and push it even more this year. Because you just walk with 5 gallons of solution on your back. I bought battery-powered sprayers. I have 2 of them. So you're not, sitting there having to.
Sure. Yeah.
And you just spray it.
And that's kind of I haven't looked into it in a while. Is it kind of an expensive product, like
No.
your general size yard, your regular size, your average size yard?
So it gets it comes in a 5-gallon jug, and you use anywhere between 3 to 6 ounces per gallon, and a gallon covers about up to 1,000 square feet.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Huh. What's a 5-gallon?
And the bottle or the jug, I think I got on Amazon because that's where I could find it the cheapest. There are different brands out there,
Right.
but they all have the same ingredients. So I found it like one of the cheapest ones, and it was like $80.
You said that's 1 gallon or 5 gallons?
5 gallons.
5 gallons for $80?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
what? No. I'm sorry. 2-gallon jug. It's a 2-gallon jug.
Okay.
But still, 2 gallons.
You can get pretty far with that.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, they sell it at Site One, which I think Garrett said you guys have a deal with Site One.
Yeah, we get a little bit of a discount with them.
Yeah, so it might even be cheaper.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to.
Yeah,
look
you just
into it.
mix it together, and at first I thought it smelled like earthy chocolate.
Okay.
But then my nephew who was working for me last summer, told me it smelled like fish guts. So now that's all I can smell.
He messed it up for you.
Yeah.
It's like, that wasn't in my head. Now it's in my head.
It wasn't, because I love the smell. I was like, oh, this smells so good.
Just keep tricking yourself into believing, no.
Yeah.
That's chocolate. That's earthy chocolate.
Yeah. So yeah, it smells. It's a brown dirt type color.
Okay. Huh.
And yeah, you just mix it, spray it.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, and if it definitely sounds like it's less wear and tear on your body, unless you got the stand on. Would you say that the aeration, the core aeration, sounds like that's faster to do it and get out of there?
No.
No? Because you got to stop and fill up your tank all the time, right?
I mean, I would do it to where I would only have like a couple a day.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to have to, this year I'm going to use the customer's water. Like I'll bring a hose with me, fill it up, make the solution there.
Yeah, you wasn't doing that, huh?
No, last year I would just fill up one, in the morning, bring it with me.
Okay.
And then when I was at close by the yard or at the yard to mow or do whatever,
yeah,
I'd spray it, and then I'd do the same thing the next day.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I use customers' water for everything. Are we hey. I mean, I don't go crazy about it, but I will use their water. It's like, I make sure it's turned off and everything. I wash my hands with if I have to or whatever. It's like,
yeah.
And no one has ever, not once, came out and gave me a problem about it, ever. Unless you leave it on.
I just didn't think of it. I'm like,
yeah.
It was just something, like, I'll just do it at home.
Sure. Now, if I were mixing chemicals, I'm going to have a special hose, like a short one that I bring with me, and I'm very careful with how I handle
you should, because if a kid's putting their mouth on the hose, wanting a drink.
No. No, very, very careful with
get a
that.
little fungicide or something in their system. And then they blame you when the toxicology report comes back.
I am very I have a phobia towards chemicals as it is, so I am very aware of everything I'm doing. I will switch gloves real fast. Yeah.
Do you spray chemicals?
So I'm definitely getting away from the like Roundup and things like that.
Okay.
We're going more towards the natural thing, herbicides. But herbicides is the only chemical I'm really spraying. I'm not doing insecticides, fungicides, none of that. And I'm not on the lawn areas, just the beds.
Beds, like mulch beds and rocks.
Beds,
and
pavers, all that. Yeah, we're not getting on the lawns. Because from what I understand, you got to have a special license to do that. Definitely in Florida, where I'm originally from, they will light you up. And I've read into it here, and you got to have one here in Colorado, too. Whether someone's driving around looking as hard as they were in Florida, I don't know.
They're not.
Well,
But if you get a nosy neighbor who's like, oh, what are they doing? And they're like, they can call. And
then you also got these super, like, really sensitive people to chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a license, you're supposed to get at least in Florida. I've never done it here, so I don't know. But you will get it in the mail, a list of all these folks and their addresses.
Mm-hmm. They have it here too.
So if you don't have that information, you're out here just blasting away, and something happens to them, they're gonna find out it was you, and you're in big trouble. So I don't want to play that game, not even a little bit. So, but there's plenty of aerating out there too, and I get plenty of people that are like, what's that price? That's so expensive. And it's just like,
what are you charging for aeration?
So generally it's 3 times the mowing price.
Okay.
And we definitely have some pushback. In fact, I need to sit down and do the numbers of what is our close ratio on just aerations, so I can kind of give you so I can let you know how much resistance we're getting. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, because we're doing P for P, which is a third of the labor revenue, I want to make sure and we're using the manual one. I want to make sure our guys are making decent, like, good money when they do it. I do not want them hating their life, and I do it at the end of the week. That way they can rest all weekend. And if we go lower prices, that means they're getting paid less, which means they're not doing it, which puts me back into doing it, and I don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
I'm like my record, like, I think it was 2 years ago, like 2 falls ago, was like 22 in one day, and I was beat down. I was like, oh no, I cannot keep doing this. It was rough. I'm 43, man. I'm over it. But the stand-on one, that's a different story.
Well, another reason why I wanted to get the stand on was because I would block a week and a half for aerating, and then I would be done with it. I wouldn't do any more. Someone Monday, I'd be like, nope, sorry, not doing it anymore.
A week of aerating, that sounds like a lot of aerations.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's aerating, fertilizer, and overseeding too. Not everyone does all of it.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd block that time off, and if they missed it, like I wouldn't do it just because I didn't want to have to go back out at the end of the day after I'm done mowing. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to have to bring the aerator on my trailer with me and trying to like fight around it every day.
Right.
So with wanting to get the ride-on aerator, I'm like, hey, like I wouldn't mind going home and swapping my equipment out.
Oh yeah, with that thing I could go home and do some push-ups or something. It won't matter. That sounds amazing. Oh
yeah,
man, I didn't know they rented them out. Oh.
If they do, like if they do have them and they're all booked up for the spring, call them early, like mid to late summer, and put your name down on the list.
To
rent it off. Like, I need it, Thursday, Friday.
Sure.
And if you schedule aerations on Saturday, you don't have to pay for that day because they're closed.
Oh, I see.
So you just rent it for like, a Thursday and Friday, where you could do aerations Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right.
And then return the machine Monday morning.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be looking into that.
Yeah, because that's what I did last fall. Me and Jordan did all my aerations and fertilizing and all that stuff in 3 days. Or no, 2 days. It was on a Friday and Saturday.
What would you say? What is your rates on the aeration? Do you have like a formula, or you just kind of...
I am $40 per 1,000 square feet.
Okay. So that's probably about around the same as kind of how we're kind of doing it.
With a minimum of 80, and that covers up to 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
So like, if some of my yards are, let's say $36 to cut. Mm-hmm. I'm not at where you guys are at with the 3 times the mowing price.
Right. Yeah. Because our minimum would be like 105, but I'll make 99 my very lowest if it's just a small front yard. I just be like, 99, do you want it? No? All right.
Yeah.
Because my people are getting beat up as it is, so fine. But with stand-on, that could change things. But then again, that's a more expensive piece of equipment, so no discount, never mind. We'll take it or leave it,
Well, that's why I want people to realize is like the equipment to do this like isn't cheap.
Yeah.
And it's like when I was working with Wayne, his aerating prices were $35 front and back for like the longest time.
It just hurts to hear that.
Yeah, and like I my first year I started watching people talk about aerating and aerating prices, and Brian's lawn maintenance. He was talking about having a minimum, and I found out what he charged, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you're charging like $90 for an aeration?
Right.
So my first year, because I got all my customers from Wayne, because I bought part of his business, on everyone I increased by like $5 because they had been $35 for like the past 10 years. And then I learned all that stuff like over the summer, and then I started implementing it in the fall. I had a lot of pushback. A lot of people were like, "Oh, that's way too much. I could find someone who will do it for $30." I'm like, "Okay."
Right.
Like, yeah, I'd like the money, but I'm sure as hell not, because back then I had a walk behind. That was all I had.
Yeah.
I was doing it by myself. I'm like, I'm not beating my body up.
Oh.
For $30. Like it can take you 2 to 3 times as long instead of just like mowing.
and hurts way more.
Yeah.
Hurts way more. Yeah, no, the first time we implemented that pricing, I was nervous. I was like, what? We're never going to get that. And yeah, we had pushback as well. But then people started accepting it. And all it takes is that first client to accept this new price that you're putting out there, and the light goes, you realize, oh, some people will pay this particular price. When I was in Florida, we did pine straw as mulch, and which sounds crazy out here in Colorado because that's a fire hazard for one thing. But they do it in the South, and that's just a whole other conversation. But we'd get it in the bales, and the guy I used to work for, he would charge $7 per bale. That pays for the bale, that brings the bale over, and we put out the bale of pine straw.
Uh-huh.
And I think he was getting it for probably like $2.25 or something. I don't remember, something in the 2 area. And whenever I would start doing side jobs, I basically just followed his pricing, and I thought I was on top of the world, right? But I hated putting out pine straw. I hated it. And I started listening to things like Lawn Care Millionaire and this and that, and he always would say things like, do not charge by the unit. You need to charge. That's the lazy way of figuring it out, kind of thing. And he's like, how long does it actually take you to do it? And that's how you need to figure out your pricing with that and material and overhead or whatever. And that was years ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to screw this. And I did all this math. And I started, when I was working for this guy, I started like timing myself. How long does it take me to put out bales? And then I came up with a number after a while. I was like, you know what? $12 is what I should be charging. So it went from 7 to 12, and I tried it on a client.
Oh, is that like a 80% increase or so?
Yeah, it was a lot, right? So, and I didn't tell them $12 a bale. Like, he would tell them $7 a bale because he would line item everything. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of gave him the bottom line. It was like, this is the price. And I didn't tell him how many bales it was, which was also kind of put myself at risk as well, because if we were short, well, that's on me now. Mm-hmm. At least he was covered. It's like, oh, we said 50, you signed on 50 bales. We actually need 10 more. That's $7 a bale. Do you want it or don't you? Which, anyway, but I just said, I did the math on how much pine straw we're going to need for the job, and just $12 a bale. We're going to pine straw your yard. This is what it's going to cost. Take it. Do you want it? And people started saying yes, and I was like, oh man. And it blew my mind.
Well, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
When you get your prices where you think they need to be, mm-hmm. and people are okay with it.
Yeah, and not
or people start paying it, and then it might be a little at first, but then like the next year it's going to be a little bit more, or even a lot more, and then it just kind of almost keeps compounding.
Sure. Yeah. Like
that's how it was, when I was doing the aeration and increasing my prices, because the 2 years ago I was at $30 per 1,000, $60 minimum. Last year I was at $35, $70 minimum. Now I'm at $40, $80 minimum.
Yeah.
And the same people who were signing up for aeration last year and the year before are signing up for aeration again.
And if more people would get on that mindset of raising your prices, mm-hmm. then there wouldn't be so much pushback. People would just deal with it. Like, okay, I guess it's either do it myself or pay someone to do it.
Well, even if if they want to do it themselves, like what we were saying earlier, a machine's like $160 now.
Yeah.
And like you have to rent it 4-hour minimum. And then you have to have you have to have a trailer or a truck. Mm-hmm. You have to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick it up. Then you have to drive home, do it yourself on a hot Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then take a break because you're so exhausted. And then you realize you're past the 4-hour mark. So you have to hurry up and load it back up into your truck or trailer and drive back. and then you pay with your credit card and you realize, oh my gosh, that was $180.
Yeah.
I should have hired Lawn Care Ninja for 80.
I've actually talked to customers. I'd talk them into just go do it yourself. Then I would do it. Not that.
Would you say that?
No, not like that.
Okay.
No, but I would have them just do it themselves, and then next time they would be like, no, I'm never doing that again, and they'd be happy to pay that price because that's way better than dealing with it themselves and everything you said about pricing and all that. So. It's just it's interesting how I guess it comes back to that whole knowing your numbers and knowing your value.
Yeah.
Because most of us when we get started we're scared. We're like, I don't.
Yeah.
I gotta and we come from we also most of us have that perspective like I wouldn't pay that. That's crazy. But we're not our customer, Like Christmas lights is perfect. Like I will not pay that for the Christmas lights. But there's customers that will. And I'm not them, and that's fine.
There's like $80,000, $100,000 Christmas light displays that people pay for.
Oh yeah,
every single year
for just a few weeks.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But I'm not that customer, so I got to get out. We got to get out of that mindset of worrying about those kind of things. It's like we're providing value to them. They don't want to deal with it. They got the money. It's like I'd rather pay someone to get this off my plate, give me what I want. I got other things I need to be doing, And that's just like when you go to a restaurant and, I could cook some of this food better than they are, but it's the experience. I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean. I don't have to deal with all of that, and I'm willing to pay
dirty
this
dishes
price.
is huge for me. I don't go out much, but, it's like, when I'm done like cooking a steak or something like that, and then there's oil or butter or whatever, splattered on the stovetop, and your house smells good.
Sure.
But then you gotta, scrape off all the
it's an ordeal.
Junk from the plates and pots and pans and
it's a process. So it's an ordeal. So just people. I am definitely not my customer paying those prices. So just get out of my own way, and knowing your numbers helps, which I'm still learning a lot with certain numbers. I don't know all of my numbers, but I definitely am the more I do this, the more I'm learning, and the more it's all making sense. So knowing your numbers, knowing your value, and not coming from a place of I guess poverty is the only way I can think of. I had this client that paid $5,000 to put up Christmas lights for like just a week, and I gave him that price, $5,000, and just like sat back and waited, and it didn't take long. They're just like yes, and it just,
when you sent that out, were you like, oh my gosh, like they're never gonna say yes to this?
Yeah, my wife, she was like, she's just like, what? And I was like, yeah, and she couldn't believe it. And she kind of came from a little bit more money than I did, and even she couldn't. But these people have a private jet. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
So they definitely had money, but it was just it just goes to show that you're not. Some people are willing to pay if that's what they want. So I really I enjoy this whole business thing. I'm loving it. I wouldn't learn half these things working for somebody.
Yeah. So I know we've already been, chatting for a little bit, and I said we weren't recording, but we had some good stuff in there, so I think I might go ahead and keep it. But just maybe right now, go ahead and introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about yourself, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Talk a little bit about, your business and, you're with Augusta.
Yeah. I'm Thomas Salazar. I'm with Augusta, and this will be my 4th year. The beginning of the 4th year starts now. Spring is beginning. Let's see. Every winter that goes by, we have this dip here in Colorado where we're just out of work, or it slows down a lot. And you would think after 3 years you wouldn't be so nervous. You're like, is it gonna start? Because it's gonna start. And it's like, enjoy the moment while you have it. Get all these other your T's crossed, your I's dotted, and everything else. Get ready for it, because it's about to come. And that's one of the things that I found myself concerned with the most was employees. We've had a few good ones. We've definitely had some good ones, and we have had an issue with getting them to return.
Which I think probably a lot of companies have that issue.
Sure. So, like, the past few weeks, I've been a little bit worried and stressed out. Like, I gotta go through this whole process of finding a bunch of people, filtering through them, and dealing with this. And and every year it always works out. It just does. We end up getting, as long as we're over hiring, and then people will weed themselves out.
What do you mean by over hiring?
So I'm gonna end up getting like 8 people to show up next month, little by little. I'm gonna have 8 people scheduled to show up. 2 of them won't.
Okay.
One of them will like last a day or 2, and then the other one a week or 3 or whatever. And and just keep on bringing them in, and and still keep hiring, because it's going to keep happening. And then one of the guys I'm going to believe in the most, like, this guy's going to be a general manager one day. He's going to move on to something else, or he's going to move away, or whatever. And it's just now turned into, like, let things be. Do your best. Try to be a good manager. Try to be a good owner. Try to show them what we have to offer. Show them that you care about them. Show them that you're there to help build them up and teach them as much as they want to learn, and some.
Like, it's just not a job you go to and show up and do your work and take off.
Yeah, and if someone stays, they stay. If they don't, they don't. But at least they will have left better than when they showed up. Hopefully, that if not, I failed them. So, and just there's going to be more people that will filter in and come through, and we'll get the work done. And eventually, someone will show up who wants to make a career out of this, who wants to be a general manager, who wants to turn into a regional general manager. Who wants that, or wants to own their own company, and we will help them do that, and not get too caught up in looking at the finish line as far as that goes, and just let the process happen and stop worrying about it and just keep putting in the work. And that's one of the lessons I'm learning the past few weeks, including today. I actually had to fire somebody today.
Oh, wow.
Who worked with me from the beginning, a little bit here each year, and I had to keep letting them go because they were a great worker. They had a great attitude. They were respectful. The problem was attendance. Something would always come up, and they would not show up, and wait like an hour or 2 to call me and tell me what's going on. And I've fired them a few times now. And this was the very last time, and I've given this person way too many chances just because I see the good in them, and they, like I said, they're very respectful, great attitude, never complains. It's just the attendance thing. Excuse me. And I have high hopes for this young person, but I can no longer allow. I can't get too invested if I can't, how do I say this? I definitely can't let any one person mess up the mission of the company, right? And get in the way of things. It's, I can show you, it's like the whole, I can take a horse to water, but I can't make you drink it kind of thing, and quit trying to help, like, drag people across. It's like, the right person will show up, the right people will show up. And like I said, as long as they leave better than when they showed up, then I did good by them. And just keep doing that. And and we're not on bad terms. I let him know I really care about him. I hope everything works out for him. He told me that he really enjoyed working for me, just like pretty much most of the guys that come and go. They all really enjoy working for me, and I want them to be successful whatever they do. They don't have to work here. That's fine. Do whatever you believe is the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I want for them, and that's great. So
Well, I would think after 4 years or 3 years, because this is your 4th year, that you spend that much time with someone, you do kind of build that friendship.
Sure. Yeah, he's in his early 20s, and I see myself in him a lot because I was a little knucklehead, for sure. He's actually, I was definitely worse than him, but I was telling him today, it's like, we have these rules in place for a reason, and if we start bending them for you, then where's the line get drawn?
Yeah.
Because we'll bend this rule for you, and then you're going to want us to bend another rule for you. And then eventually we got this culture of people bending rules, and the rules no longer mean anything, and I can't let that happen.
Yeah.
Like, it is my job to keep that from happening, and I hope the best for you, and I want the best for you. But, this is not, this isn't the place for you right now. Maybe in the future, but I didn't even tell him that part because I'm not sure I will be able to give him another. I mean, I believe in people so much. I'm sure I may give him another chance, but it won't be next season. It'll have to be a couple seasons. Gonna have
let
to
him
go
mature for a year or two, maybe 5.
Yeah, because I'm sure I've been giving off that signal that I'll take you back no matter what. It's fine, and I cannot be doing that. So employees and just that's been my main concern this whole time. It's like, we got work coming in, and am I going to have the people to do it? And every spring I always do. It always happens. So stop worrying about it. It's going to be fine as long as I keep hiring and dealing with it. So
have you had an Augusta franchise those 4 years?
Yep. So that all began at the end of 2019. So basically 2020 was our first season.
Right when COVID.
Right during COVID, yeah. Great time to start a business.
I actually thought it was a great time to start a business. I didn't realize it when it was first happening, but the amount of people that stayed home and just were looking outside their windows, like, oh, I got to have mulch in my yard, or landscape area or whatever, or I want someone to come and make my lawn look nice.
Yeah.
Was really, really nice.
Yes, one of the main things I had to deal with was, because it was the beginning of COVID, everyone was freaked out. Everyone was very nervous, and I had 0 customers. And part of the strategy, because I didn't have a lot of capital to market to people, was knocking on doors, door hanger type things, and that wasn't allowed here. Like, you was not allowed to be knocking on doors. But we still did just fine. Everything worked out. But long answer to your question, I've been with Augusta that whole time. I've tiptoed into my own business before that a few times, but I wasn't as well. I also was moving back and forth from Florida to Colorado, so I never really sat and got my roots in either. But once I got with Augusta, it's like, all right, I'm staying right here to get this thing going. I'm not bouncing around anymore.
So you were the first ever Augusta franchise. How did that come about? Like, how do you know Mike Andes? What was your thinking? Because I can imagine 4 years ago, Mike Andes was not who he is now. No one probably knew him, at least in this, field.
Sure.
So how, walk me through how that happened.
Yeah. So I was in Florida, and I had my landscape company, and I always was listening to podcasts or listening to YouTube while I was working and everything, and I was, Lawn Care Millionaire, and
Jonathan Potashnik.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And a few other people. And Jonathan Potashnik seemed like the only person that had this message of you can build something real here and get out of the field and have a real company, versus most of, not all, but most of the other ones I was listening to, they kind of had that sense that you're stuck in here and this is it. Like it's just gonna be a struggle. You're gonna work your butt off. You'll make good money, sure, but you're gonna be working your butt off in the field. It seemed like forever. And some of the guys, I won't say any of their names, like they're still in the field working since I've been listening to them. and I was starting to get discouraged. It's like, man, there's got to be, Jonathan Potashnik, but the way he had it set up, it sounded like, man, that's just so far out there. And then I stumbled across this young man on, I want to say it was a podcast. And I could tell he was young by his voice, but everything he said was just, it made so much sense, and it had just, you could tell something special was happening, and it just, I don't know, just, I can't, it was just so, everything, there was so much hope in his message, and he was implementing it as well. And I was like, man, this guy really knows what's going on. And his name was Mike Andes. And it got to the point to where after I was listening to him for a while, I was ready to shut my business down, is what I was starting to think. And I'm going to go to Washington and see if I can work for this guy. Like, that's how much I really...
From Florida? Sunny Florida?
Well, actually, what ended up happening was I found him in Florida, but then I ended up moving to Colorado.
Okay.
Part of my bouncing around thing. And then when I was in Colorado, that's when I finally was like, you know what? I think I really debated on moving to Washington to see...
Like, permanently.
Well, in that time in my life, nothing was permanent. I'm kind of was bouncing around a little bit here and there, but I was definitely was considering going out there, seeing if I could work for him, and getting as close to him as I could and learn what I could from him. But then he mentioned that he was going to start a franchise, and that kind of slowed me down a little bit, because that would have been a big deal for me to just move all the way out there.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a few people in Colorado. I knew nobody in Washington, and all of my family was back in Florida, and I was already far enough from them in Colorado.
Yeah.
But that would have been like just that much further. But when he mentioned it, that's when I told myself I definitely want in on this. Whatever it takes, I got to get in on this. And then when he finally said, okay, this is happening, I've already emailed him when we briefly mentioned it before, like, email and get on this list and I'll let you know when it's happening. So I already did that. And then when he finalized it and said, okay, it's happening, I emailed him again, and he reached out and we talked about it, and he accepted me and as far as one of the franchisees. And at the end of it, the conversation, he said, something like, you're the very first one, so there is that. And I was like, what? I was like, really? Like, great, that's fine, whatever, let's go, let's do this. I really believed in everything he was talking about. So I've been bought in for a while. But it was probably, 1 or 2 years before he franchised is when I found him. 1 or 2, maybe 3 at the most. I think maybe 2.
When you found him on that podcast?
When I've discovered him for myself, at least. And so that's how long I was listening to him before he franchised and I was ready to go.
Shoot, back then he was probably, 18, 19 years old?
He was pretty young, yeah. I mean...
Because he's early to mid-20s right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in his mid-20s, yeah.
Okay.
So... But like I said, everything he said just made sense. The way he talked about business, the way he talked about his team, the way he talked about culture and building up people, and just so many different things. It made so much sense. Because I knew before I've heard of Mike that, there's got to be something better out there also that helps the people that work for you. Because when I worked for people, it always seemed as though all they care about is themselves. They're going on all these vacations. We're out here working, and that's fine. But wouldn't it be nice if we could create something to where we're showing them the doors to get out of this cycle if they want to get out of this cycle, instead of you work for me and that's that. Most of the people, or at least when I grew up, my parents, they didn't know they didn't have the tools to teach me how to have a better financial future. They didn't know. And where I grew up, it was either you go to the military, you could go to college, and that's really it. It was a very tourist town, touristy area, and it seemed like those were really the only options. But I would see these other folks that seemed like they were really doing well financially, and I knew there had to be a way to get over there. Like, how do I get over there? Is college really the only way? Is military really the only way? Is military even a way? And I love the military. I have military friends and family, and I'm sure you could definitely, but how do I say this? It just seemed like it was all secrets, like how to get from here to there to be financially successful. It was secrets.
Well, you thought that there had to be a different way, not necessarily a better way, but like a different way.
Yeah.
To get there.
Sure. Yeah. And the people that I worked for, I'm sure if I would have asked them, the owners, I'm sure they would have told me. Most of them, if not all of them. But I was, shy and everything else, or maybe because I was young and I had that rebellious kind of attitude. And plus, I didn't know what questions to really ask them. But now being in the position I'm in, I can kind of just like drip market this or kind of just give this information to them, like slowly start like showing them, like telling them things that I've learned and help them see things a little bit differently, to help break that mindset that it would have been nice if I would have had that information when I was younger, because YouTube didn't exist when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, we're right around the same age too, so
yeah. So but I knew there had to be a way. I knew that I wanted to create something eventually to where I could help other people see the doors and how to get out of that mindset if they chose to. I just didn't know how to do all of that and get to that point, and it seemed like a faraway place. And then when I heard Mike, and he was talking about doing those kind of things and creating those things, I was like, he's there it is. There's the blueprints to all of it. And, and now I'm able to help do that for people. And I feel very blessed to be in that position to where I can do that. And as we get bigger, as we grow, I will be able to focus more on that. Because currently where I'm at right now in the business, I'm still doing a little bit of field work and estimates and just putting out fires and kind of all over the place until we can get some solid team members in place, get a general manager in place one day. It's like, all right, I can be a little more focused on, helping other people reach their goals in the company. But I still try to do that now. I let them all know, if you got other things you'd like to do, just let me know and see what I can do to help you out and get there. So I really enjoy this whole I enjoy being a business owner and having this opportunity to help other people if they want it.
Yeah. So when you first heard Mike, was there a bias in your mind of, I'm this old, he's this young, he can't possibly know?
I've tried to get into the mindset before. I think it was like 20 2016 or 14 is when I really started getting into books, like listening to books, listening to good content, started changing my way of thinking. That's when it really all shifted, right before I ran into Mike, or discovered Mike. So by the time I discovered Mike, I had it in my mind that you can learn from anybody. In every room you walk into, you can be a teacher and a student. You don't have to be just one or the other. You can learn something from everyone, and you can teach something to everyone. So when I heard him talking about things he was talking about, his age didn't matter. It was the things that were coming out of his mouth made sense, and I knew it. I knew it. His age did not matter. It just didn't.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I did catch myself thinking things like, well, he's got this business thing figured out, but I'm sure there's other things that he's not going to have that thing figured out, like maybe relationships with girls, or whatever, dealing with certain situations in life, just because he hasn't gotten there yet. But with this whole business thing and the culture thing and everything else, he definitely had something special happening there, and I was bought in for sure.
Yeah, because I think for me it was, for the longest time myself, when I was working with someone else, like I thought I knew everything, and like there's like I can't learn anything from someone as far as like lawn mowing goes. And then I got my own business and I knew nothing. And just turning to like podcasts and YouTube videos just like opened my eyes to so much. And then I can't remember what it was. It was I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, I had in my recommendations like a video for Mike Andes. He only had like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers or less than 1,000. So I like clicked on the video. I'm like, kind of skeptical, honestly, at first.
Sure.
I'm like, this kid's young. Like he doesn't know. Like he doesn't have a big audience. And kind of just like what you said, I started watching his videos. I'm like, all right, this dude knows what he's talking about. And then he started making more videos, and I started watching more and more, and like I just love the content that he puts out. We went to Landscape Summit, and which I thought was an amazing experience. And now he's doing the Copilot CRM. And I signed up for it because it's when I first signed up for it, it was buggy as heck.
Sure.
But I believed in his vision. I believed when he talked about it and what he saw for the future of it. And like he had built that rapport with me just from like me watching his videos, and like I've met him in person a couple times, and it was just, I think he's a great guy to know. I probably don't know him as well as you, but it's like the stuff he puts out, like I've just learned so much.
I can tell you that he's a very genuine person. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
He's not
I
different.
can tell that, yeah.
Yeah, he really cares about people, and you can just see that that is for real. As far as I can tell, it is very for real.
Well, I think it'd be hard to kind of keep up a charade that
Possibly,
long.
But I just don't believe it's a charade with Mike. I'm pretty confident.
I don't think it is either, but yeah, I just wanted to hear, like how you kind of got to know Mike and stuff, because
working a hard day in the Florida sun, about to give up on all this whole landscaping thing, and then I heard him talking on a podcast, and I stayed with it, and that's how it happened. A hot day in Florida, probably July or August, after throwing pine straw, which was not fun.
Jeez, you're doing that in the heat like that?
Yeah. And
With
it's
what, like
usually
80%
dusty,
humidity,
so it's getting
90%?
all in your nose, and it's just sticking to you, and it's fun. Yeah, I love it.
Fun?
Yeah, some of them will have fire ants in there, so that makes it even better.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those are the fun ones when you get a hold of that. But yeah, no, it was going through a dip in as far as physical labor went. It was just having a hard day. And it's like, all right, let's find another podcast. You know, I got to hear someone with something.
Do you know
good.
that podcast name?
Man,
Or not, or who like did it?
as far as
Like the podcast host or someone?
I know that was Mike. That was Mike Andes when I found. You know that's when I found Mike Andes when I remember I was going.
Was it his podcast or was he a guest on someone else's?
Oh no, that
podcast?
was his. It was.
Oh,
his.
okay.
I forgot the name of it. I want to. I guess it was landscape business.
Business course.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
something like that.
I thought maybe he was a guest on like Jonathan's podcast or something.
No, I don't think he knew Jonathan. I don't know. He might have by then. I don't know.
Okay.
This was definitely very early on in his social media thing life. So. Yeah.
So if someone is thinking about wanting to get into the green industry, like what's some advice you have for them? Whether that's doing it outside of Augusta or trying to get in with Augusta because you believe in Augusta's mission and.
Sure. So I mean, as far as Augusta goes, what I tell people, the way I see it is, if you're going to get into landscaping and you want to be, if you're going to be serious about it. If you have so this could get into a real deep conversation, but if you have the choice, I'm sure, if you have the choice, join Augusta, because otherwise, could you be successful on your own? Absolutely, you could. But when you join a franchise, you definitely skip a lot of those hard years. A lot of your questions are answered. We got a good support system. We're definitely we're the tip of the spear into the future. Like, we just are. If you have a choice, you should definitely join Augusta. But if you want to, but if you're brand new and you've never done any kind of landscaping whatsoever, and maybe you don't have the funds, maybe you come from, you just don't have the money, you should,
Get hired by an Augusta franchise?
Hey, that's the way to go. You should go work for an Augusta franchise if one's in your area, learn everything you can, and
because you can actually work yourself up to your own business, can't you?
Absolutely. After 2 years, you can have a franchise of your own. The franchise fee is waived. It's important you let the franchisor know that's what you're up to, so they can help mentor you a little bit more. Versus if you're flying under the radar trying to do these things, you should definitely let us know so we can help get you there. We want you to succeed. That's important. But if you're not anywhere near an Augusta franchise, if you live in some small town where there is no Augusta franchise and you don't have the funds to start one, is there a company you could work for and learn some things about this, of how these things work, as far as how to prune, how to mow, how to whatever. If you're brand new and never done any of this before, get out there and just start seeing how you like it. All right. And then start taking on, learn as much business stuff as you can. Listen to all the podcasts, YouTubes, everything you can, and just keep filling yourself with information. Never stop learning. Be an empty cup. The moment you feel like you behave as if your cup is full, you're going to miss out on so much information. And just learn as much as you can, and don't think that you can't do it, because you can. Other people have done it, so you can do it too. So,
and as far as the people who have been, like, I've been in business for 4 years. This is my 4th year. What you were saying earlier was, just everything's going to work out.
It works out it will work out as long as you keep showing up and you don't give up.
Well, 'cause like I'll be honest, I'm pretty nervous myself right now because I last fall I ended with a little over 80 recurring, and I think I have less than 40 right now. And I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, oh crap, like
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna be in trouble. But at the same time, last year, I think I had 56, and ended up with 83. So I know this stuff will come, but it's just hard to kind of see like 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, and just know that stuff is gonna come. It's gonna work itself out.
Right.
And I want to hire someone too this year. Like that would be a new experience for me. And like I have no idea what to do for hiring someone.
As far as how to get them in the door, or to...
Well, I mean, this isn't necessarily something you have to answer, but I'm just kind of sharing some of my struggles with being in business too. But yeah, like where do I go, or where does someone go to look about hiring? Because if I was to start out right now, I don't have enough work for 2 people. So, but at the same time, like I want to get to the point to where I can have enough work for 2 people. And how do I find that second person?
Well,
and like I said, it's not, we don't have to go off into that, but
sure. Okay.
I mean, because it sounds like you have, you were talking about overhiring.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe we could save that for a next one or something. But
Sure. I will say this though is when from my experience at least, and from others that I keep hearing about, is when you get that first employee, either ever or for the year or whatever, they're not. Don't make the mistake of, okay, I'm done looking now. I got my person. I don't have to worry about looking anymore, because things happen. They either move on or whatever. So I believe it's the whole overhiring thing is to help to kind of hedge against that. Constantly be looking, constantly be hiring, constantly be, have some cards, whatever, hand them out to the busser at your restaurant or whatever if they seem like they're a great fit. The guy at Home Depot, if he seems like he's a great fit. The kid at Starbucks, if he's a great fit. And just, hey, if here you go, would you, and then your card can have your information or whatnot. And just always be looking, Indeed, Craigslist, Facebook, whatever, anything, to just keep bringing people in. You're going to go through a lot of people that I've had so many interviews set up, and so many people just won't show up. They say they will, but they don't. People will show up for the first day. Some people won't show up. Some people will stay for a day or two, and they realize this is not the type of work they want to do. Just keep bringing them on. But getting your hopes up that someone's gonna just turn into your A player forever. Don't get your heart broke if they don't work out. Just don't do that.
someone will eventually come along the way.
And the more simpler you keep your services, it's easier to, I hate to use the word replace them, but someone can fill that slot when they move on to something they're more suited for, you know. So
that's a good point, because I think, you know, a lot of lawn care owners probably try and go off in so many different directions.
Yeah.
And then they get bombarded with too much work. Some of it might be more specialized than walking behind a mower.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to struggle. You know, you hire one guy to do it. He works out great, and then something happens, and then you're screwed from that point on.
Yeah.
So simplifying services, I think,
that's so huge. It's so huge. Unless you enjoy being in the field yourself, doing all of the work, then you can get as complicated as you want. But if something happens to you, if things happen, you're in a bad situation. Super simple services. It's easier to, train people up, get them profitable, keep the ball rolling, Like this year, I'm debating on just letting sod installations go completely.
I hate sod.
I enjoy doing it just because I really like the finished. I'm pretty good at it, but at the same time, I said it just then, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that takes a little while to train someone else to be good at it, and it's putting myself in. I cannot be stuck on the job. I just cannot be at this point. I need to not be on the job. So we're probably going to end up letting that go this season, and that's going to hurt a little bit because I do like doing it, but it's going to slow us down.
Would you do like a full removal?
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
Jeez.
I will cut it in to where it looks like it grew there. I really will. I was trained very well back in Florida. If we had it to where the lawns would connect to each other, neighbors, and we would cut this one out, put this one in, and it all flowed smoothly from that neighbor to that neighbor. And we were just the connection, like the puzzle piece. Like we're really good at it, and I enjoyed it. But it is something. It's currently the most technical thing we do, and I'm gonna have to let it go. Unless there's like 3 or 4 people that know how to do it very well, then okay, we can do that. But if only one person knows how to do it, we're not doing it.
Would that open up the rest of your crew to focus on like recurring work then?
Yeah, we'd have it scheduled to where it wouldn't get in the way of recurring.
Okay. But it's just that you would have to be out there.
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
Currently. Unless there's other people that really know how to do it. So, like you said, I'm going to have to let that go. Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess we'll probably wrap it up. Thomas, I appreciate you coming and being on the podcast. Enjoyed it. And, yeah. So if you guys have any questions for Thomas, leave them in the comments down below. And I don't think are you much on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that?
No, I don't have a social presence really. I'm one of the.
I'll see the occasional Instagram post from Augusta Lawn Care of Littleton.
Yeah. I don't have a big presence myself on there. I'm too busy doing other things.
Yeah.
So that's not really my field.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
But yeah, if you guys have a question for Thomas, leave it down in the comments, and I'll shoot him a text and see what he has to say. And
Sure. Yeah, I'm easy to reach as well. Yeah. I can be reached.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this conversation with Thomas, and we'll catch you next one. Later.